Our directions for 11-1 read, partial purchases, cash payments, and general ledgers for graphic inks are given below. Also given below are accounts payable ledger accounts forms for selected accounts and a blank form for a schedule of accounts payable. Your instructor will guide you through the following examples. So our first instruction here reads, start a new page for the accounts payable ledger account for Regal Design. The account number is 240 and the balance on October 1st of the current year is $877. So what does this mean? Previously, Regal Design, we have bought some items from them and there was a balance there, but we ran out of room on the form, so we just have to make a new form. So right here under my accounts payable ledger, I'm going to go through and select Regal Design. And then in this box right to the right of the word vendor, I'm going to type in the name of the account. And then I'm going to put in my vendor number, which is going to be 240. The other thing I want you to notice is our account number. Before, we had a 4-digit account number. Would you agree? Now we have a 3-digit account number. Our subsidiary ledgers, and that's what this accounts payable ledger is called, a subsidiary ledger, and that's a vocab term you're going to have to know, is going to have 3 digits, whereas like the account cash would be 1,110. So the number at the beginning still tells you its classification. A 2 is still going to give you a liability, but it's a 3-digit number, so that's going to tell you that it is going to be a subsidiary ledger account, not a general ledger account. It says the date of the current year, so I'm going to do October 1st. And I'm going to type in the item, balance. Put a check mark in my post reference. Nothing in debit and credit. I'm just going to go right to the credit balance and do $877. And again, you only write something in the item column when you have a balance being carried forward. Our second instruction reads, post the accounts payable credit entry on line 7 of the purchases journal. Now, one of the things you're going to learn in chapter 11 is posting is important, but you have to post in the right order. Okay, so this is a little bit of a look at grass, so we'll get this concept. We have 5 journals: purchases, sales, general, cash receipts, and cash payments. You have to post them in the right order. If you don't, you're going to end up with an accounts payable account that would have a debit balance. So for example, if I posted cash payments before purchases, I would be paying Regal Design before I actually had it put in the books that I had to owe them. Okay? Same thing can hold true in other accounts if you don't post in the right order. Right now, we're only posting to accounts payable, but they still have us posting first from our purchases journal, because purchases is where we are buying on an account and we're saying to our vendors that we are going to owe them. And then later on, we're going to post from our cash payments journal. In between there, we would need to do our general journal, because a general journal could be maybe we returned items. So we bought something from Regal Design, but it was broken, so I'm going to return it. I need to record the fact that I returned it with my memorandum before I'm going to go through and record the fact that I'm going to pay them. So the order of when you post your journals is extremely important. The other thing you're going to find, it's not going to be in chronological order in your ledger. Because I am going to post from my purchases journal, maybe I bought 2 things from a vendor. So purchases journal first, I'm going to have 2 things there for my purchases journal, and then I'm going to go to my cash payments journal, and maybe I paid them. So it's not going to be in straight date order. Okay? So be aware of that. You don't need to put it in chronological order. So I'm going to open up the purchases journal on the top. And they only gave us a partial journal, so this will make it much easier to look at. So what we need to realize when I look at my purchases journal is this column right here says accounts credited. And right here it gives me the name of my business, Regal Design. There is only one column here for numbers, so guess what I'm doing to Regal Designs? Crediting it $1,403.20. Because that's what it says here, account credited, and here's my value. So let's do that. happen to have that one open, we'll put the date on there of the 19th. Nothing goes in the item column. That will stay blank. Post reference is going to be P what? Nope. 10. Because it's the Purchases Journal, page 10. Okay, so again, Purchases Journal, page 10. 89 was the original purchase invoice number, but we are saying we are getting this from the Purchases Journal, not the Purchases Invoice. Individually, I'm putting that this amount that we owe Regal Designs is $1,403.20. Regal Designs had a previous balance that we just put in of $877. So I'm going to take $877 and I'm going to add to it $1,403.20 because they're 2 credits. So I have it mathematically that we owe them $2,280.20. Did I do the math right? Yes. Again, I'm adding them because they're 2 credits. If it was a debit and a credit, I would subtract. 2 credits you add, 2 debits you add, a debit and a credit you would always subtract. The last thing that I always do with posting is I have to take this vendor number right here, 240, and this 240 goes up here. Do not ever just go through and fill in all of your numbers on here. That does not do you any good. The whole point of posting is you go from your journal to your ledger to your journal to your ledger, each line individually. Because if you get interrupted halfway through, you're going to have no idea where you are. Okay, so the last step I'm going to do is 240. Back up here saying, yep, I posted that. Instruction number 3 tells me that I'm going to post the accounts payable debit entry line 15 of my cash payments journal to the accounts payable electrographic supply. Again, when I look here, I'm like, okay, the only thing I can post really is line 15. So I'm going to switch down here and I'm going to open up electrographic supply. Now, when I look here at this cash payments journal, electrographic supply, I have 2 columns being affected. I have accounts payable, debit, and I have cash. Right now, both numbers are the same. But which number should I post? Which column? Accounts payable or cash? It has to be your accounts payable amount. This is what we're saying that we no longer owe them is $776. Because could we have a purchases discount? Definitely. And then these 2 added together will give you accounts payable. So how can you remember this? This is an accounts payable ledger. You're going to get your numbers from the accounts payable column. So always go from this column within there. So go ahead and put the date in there of the 20th. Post reference, I'm going to do CP, standing for cash payments, 15, standing for 15. And I'm going to debit for $776. What do I do in the balance column? Well, if you read your directions right here, it tells you type a 0 in the balance column to indicate a 0 balance. There is only one balance column, so I'm just going to put in 10. Last step that I do is put account number 230 back up on top in my cash payments journal. Next thing that I do is going to be my general. Instruction number 4 tells me post the credit entry line on line 5 of the general journal to the accounts payable account for electrographic supply, and then it tells me to do the debit line. So basically we are going to go through and post these 2 lines. So line 5, I can see right here it says accounts payable / electrographic supply. The date is the 26th. Post reference is going to be G11. And I'm going to put it as a credit of $2,544. How do I know it's a credit? The amount right here on this line going across is from my credit column. This transaction that we're recording is where we bought supplies on account from them, so we are going to owe them money. Last step I do is put account number 230 back up in my general journal to show that I posted it. I'm now going to post line 6. Line 6 says accounts payable, art and things. I'm going to put the date of the 28th. Post reference is going to be G11. And I'm going to debit it $125. What is happening with this transaction? It's a debit memorandum. Basically, we bought something originally from Art and Things, but we don't want it anymore, so we returned it. So the amount that we owe Art and Things has to go down. It had a balance previously of $873. As a credit, I'm debiting it $125, so its new balance is going to be $748. And I'm put account number 210 back up on there. One of the confusing things that happens with our general journal is, do you notice how this is much wider now than it was originally? Later on in this chapter, I'm going to have to post these lines with the slashes twice. Once to the accounts payable, and then once to electrographic supply. Because there is still a controlling account called accounts payable in my general ledger. Right now in section 11-1, they're just having us only learn about our our subsidiary ledger for accounts payable. But eventually we'll have to do this twice. But that'll be on Tuesday when I'm back with you. Okay? The last thing that we have to do is we have to prove that what we posted is correct, that we didn't make a math mistake. So I am going to go through and prepare a schedule of accounts payable. A schedule of accounts payable is going to be filled in here. We're going to start with the name of our business, which is Graphics Inc. The name of my document is a schedule of accounts payable. A schedule of accounts payable is always prepared on a specific date, and the date that it's prepared on is going to be October 31st. Now, how do we prepare a schedule of accounts payable? We get every account from our subsidiary ledger that has a balance. If it doesn't have a balance, it doesn't go on there. So I'm going to start on my first one, which is account number 210, Art and Things, and I'm going to put in my account title. And then I'm going to put in the amount that we owe them, $748. Then I open up my next subsidiary ledger, Can Do Graphics. Yep, it looks like we owe Can Do Graphics, $986. Then I'm going to switch to Electrographic Supply. And I also owe Regal Designs, $2,280.20. When I look at my directions, it gave me an important piece of information. Right here, it says in my general ledger, the account title of accounts payable is $6,558.20. When I go through and add up this amount here, it has to equal my controlling account, accounts payable. If it doesn't, there's a mistake somewhere. Now, below where it says Regal Designs, I have to put in the word total accounts payable, not totals. You put in total accounts payable. And then you'll go through and do the math. And again, here's where I pull out, I don't pull out my happy dance because I put in a wrong number. I just added a 0 at the end of it. My calculator was right, I just was too happy. Now I can pull out my happy dance, because the amount right here equals the amount given me between the directions. On your mastery problem for this chapter, they are not going to give you this number in the directions. You are going to have to look at the actual accounts payable, and make sure it equals. If it doesn't, ask for help. I will help you find and fix that mistake. Go ahead and try on your own.